Welcome back, everybody. This is Political Hot Seat, live call-in show at 727-8750. We're here with Rick Osborne, running for Commissioner, District 5. And we do have a caller on the line, and that is Lorraine. Can you hear me? Lorraine, are you there?
Yes.
I'll go ahead and ask your question.
Yes, Mr. Osborne, what approach will you take in deliberation of legislation when you are elected to the county commission?
I think what you're asking is how will I assess the legislation that comes before me as to whether or not I can support it, I believe. Is that what you mean?
Yes, sir.
Perfect.
This one?
Yep.
Okay.
In fact, that's one of the things I was going to talk about tonight here. And if you can see what Bill is holding up there, we're talking about a process that I call the People's Test. And the People's Test is something I hope catches on really around the nation. And I liken it to a three-legged stool. So there's three questions on each piece of legislation that I would consciously go through the thought process on. The first one being, does it do harm to the people? If the answer is no, then we go to the second leg, or the second question, and that would be, does it help the people? And if the answer is yes, then we go to the third leg, or the third question, which is, can we pay for it? Is it affordable? Do we have the money in the budget to do it? And if I can answer every piece of legislation in that fashion, then I will lend support to it unless there are some exigent circumstances that would make it inherently wrong. So that's the answer to your question, and thank you for calling that in, because I was going to talk about that tonight anyway. Did that answer your question for you?
She might be off the line.
Oh, okay.
Okay. All right. We were leading up to your background and things that you were going to attempt to accomplish.
We were talking about some of the pledges that I've made in print and sent out to many of the voters. One of the things was to find a better solution for our road maintenance. That's the complaint that I've heard from a number of people, that they don't understand how some roads are looking really good and brand new. They don't go anywhere. There's nobody living on them. And yet we have other roads that are highly traveled that don't seem to get necessary maintenance. So I'm not trying to place blame on any particular person here. I'm just saying, if the process isn't working for us, then we need to change the process. So maybe we need a better mousetrap for assessing how our roads get attention. And that's one of the things I'll work for. We need to also find a more transparent budgeting process. The budget process that I envision and would urge other commissioners to embrace is called a performance-based budget. I talked about that briefly at the VFW the other night at Candidates Night, and seemed to stir a couple of responses. Basically, what performance-based budgeting does is it provides a more transparent look at the budget, so that you don't see, for example, the sheriff's office, and you have a salary for all the sheriff's departmental employees, and a line item for budgets, and a line item for office supplies. I mean, that's the old typical way budgeting was done. This drills down inside the budget, and I'm not picking on the sheriff here by any stretch of the matter. I'm just using an example. But you drill down and you see, for example, well, what does the DARE program? And that's where program-based budgeting comes from, when we say program.
Right.
Some people think program means there's performance. When you say performance, got my tongue twisted. when you say performance, they think you're talking about certain standards that you're going to have to do, and that's not what it's about. It's to drill down into the program and identify the performance that the program provides for you. So you can look at, for example, the DARE program and see what that costs you. And you can look at, in Public Works, for example, what does snow removal cost you in Tonopah? Obviously down here it wouldn't be near as great, but here's my point. To have a budget in place like that, then you have the department head, the sheriff or the head of Public Works or whomever, they are part of the process, so they identify what is the key core service that they're going to provide to the citizens. And when you do that, then you can prioritize. And again, I'm not picking on the sheriff, but we'll go back. His primary goal is answering calls for service. When somebody has a problem, that's who they call, and they need an officer. So what you can do by this is you can say, well, if you're going to have budget cuts, and we all know that that's what's been going on for some time, not only here, but a lot of other places, then you can go in and say, well, is it reasonable that you have a 10% cut across the board? Well, the short answer is no, because things have a higher priority. For example, the sheriff, again, calls for service. That feeling of safety for the citizens of the county is imperative. And I know the sheriff, if he were sitting here, he would agree that that's what you provide. I mean, you want to protect the safety and welfare of the people in Nye County. That's why he's here. So you can identify the things that have a higher priority where you might not cut that 10% in a downturn on the budget like you do. You might put that cut somewhere else that doesn't have as high a priority. So that's why I'm an advocate for performance-based budgeting, because it allows you to do that and prioritize those things that are most important, to provide the services to the citizens.
And that's within the department too, though.
Yeah, the department has a role to play in that, absolutely.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, like there might be things that the sheriffs do that isn't really necessary to do versus to where
right, and he can shift that around. Yeah, he can do that. But I don't want people to think that this is something, a process that the commissioners sit over there with their pencils and they start whacking things left and right through this process. That's not that way. It's still a professionally developed budget, but it allows you to look down inside the department or the office a little deeper and prioritize the things that are most important.
See, the sheriff's department, this is my opinion only. Sheriff's department within Nye County is probably the #1 most important department.
Yes.
And they should have all access to be able to get to any problem or emergency there is. And then we can start on down the line about other things, like if there's a garbage can at the park or not. I mean, something like that.
Sure, absolutely, I agree with you.
And once again, we have a caller on the line, and his name is Dave. Go ahead, Dave. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I would like to know if you get to be the commissioner here, as you know, the town of Pahrump is going over to the county, January the 5th. Would you keep the same employees that the town has now on the payroll and keep the town moving the same way, only they're going to have an advisory board or something?
Well, thanks for that question, Dave. The jobs, the responsibilities, the tasks that are performed right now by the employees of the town of Pahrump are still going to be there. They aren't going to go away. So I don't see those tasks being assigned to someone else in the county I think that's what you're asking me is, is the county, if I would agree to the county taking over those responsibilities and just dismissing or laying off all of the employees of the town of Pahrump, I would not be in favor of that because those tasks have to be done by someone. And when I was the county manager here, I didn't know of any employees in the county that were sitting around twiddling their thumbs. They were all working very steadily, and I don't think you can throw a bunch of responsibilities onto more employees in the county and then lay off the people or get rid of the jobs in Pahrump. The town of Pahrump. I don't see that as being a viable answer. And I don't think the dissolution of the town board is a long-term solution. I think it is a short-term solution. That's my statement on that, even though you didn't ask.
Well, I think that the town still has to operate.
Absolutely does.
And to get rid of a person that's experienced or been in there for 5 or 10 years or 20 years or whatever, and to hire somebody else in to do the job, because like you said, the county is the county, the town is the town. The town board is going to be dissolved, but it's not going to be, the town itself isn't going to be, we're still going to be here. So somebody has to do the job, and I've been informed by other people that just about everybody working for the town will keep their jobs.
Well, that to me is just common sense.
Yeah, somebody has to fill the shoes, and
Yes.
and the people that have the experience. But we're getting back to, okay.
My pledges?
Yep.
We're almost done.
Okay.
We just talked about a more transparent budgeting process.
You know, I hate to do this to you, but I just got the signal that we need to go to a break again. So we'll be back
okay.
in just a few minutes, folks.